Saturday, December 30th. It's noon Eastern time. I am Bob Harris. This is the Football Diehards YouTube channel, and it's time for our weekly Ask Me Anything live stream. And this is a big week in many ways. First of all, it's your championship weekend, and your questions are more important to you and me than ever. All right, so I know there are fewer people playing, and the intensity level of those who remain is even greater. So I'm here to serve that up. Also, it's a big week for other reasons I'm going to talk about at the end of this live stream. So I'm going to take the last 10 or 15 minutes to address some future issues that need to be hit on. But in the meantime, we got all kinds of stuff going on. As usual, I call it week 17, the benching. A lot of players benched. You all know this. So Russell Wilson was benched. Sam Howell benched, although Jacoby Brissett is now questionable. We'll see if he gets in there. Nick Mullins was benched. Jaron Hall takes over. Tyrod Taylor takes over for Danny DeVito. TJ Hawkinson out for the season with an ACL injury. You all knew that as well. So news-wise, CJ Stroud is going to come back. Yard guys are here. We got to admire that. Some of the wide receivers have already been quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence has been ruled out. Jalen Waddle's out. Cortland Sutton's out. Keenan Allen's out. Jamar Chase might play. Isiah Pacheco might play. So lots of injury news going on. Running backs, too. One to watch out for in particular. Alvin Kamara showed up on the injury report late in the week, Friday, with an illness. Seems likely to play, I would guess. Josh Jacobs downgraded to doubtful or listed as doubtful. We thought he would be questionable. Again, Pacheco just awaiting final clearance. He may get that today. We may find out during this very live stream. Who knows? Raheem Mostert, questionable. I think he's going to play, but that's one to watch. Kenneth Walker, questionable. Played through that last week. Brian Robinson, good to go this week, and so we'll watch that. Zach Moss ruled out as well. It looks like Michael Pittman Jr. will be available to go, and we're hoping for that as well. So a lot going on, kids. Let's get into the. Let's not mess around too much, though. I want to get into your questions and see what's going on. By the way, Happy New Year! Happy New Year to all you people. There's going to definitely be some interesting news coming up for the new year. Again, I'm going to hit up on that at the end of this program. The nail biting. Yes, it is that kind of thing, right? I mean, we'll all sit here and, that's another thing. I'll just hit on this before I get to the questions. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to kind of run through what I think and why I think it. You make the decision. I'm not going to be there on Monday to hold your hand while you're going, damn it, why didn't I do this? If you have a hunch, you play your hunch, right? Don't play my hunches. You can hear my hunches and see if they inform your hunches or, have some kind of sway over you or that they make sense. Or maybe they just solidify your position opposite what I'm saying, right? Like my arguments the arguments I have for something might convince you that you're even more right than ever. So good morning, Mel. Good morning, Andrea. Thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate everyone's presence here. Mr. Scamper's in the house. Always happy. Dame in the house here as well. Albert, glad to see everyone. Again, I hope y'all stick around. Rookie, appreciate everyone. All of y'all, more than you know. It's been a interesting season. So got an eagle screen going on in here. Love that. So let's get into the questions though, because man, this is it, right? You're either winning or you're not this week, and that's always an exciting thing. And I think it's a little bit liberating, right? You can kind of make decisions, cut players you wouldn't otherwise cut to acquire a player that's maybe sitting there that will fill a hole that might. In the past, you say, well, gosh, if I let this guy go, somebody's going to pick him up. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. So we got that going for us. Let's go ahead and jump into the questions. Victor has a tough defense question. Jags, Broncos, or Chiefs? Also, which kicker? Kaime Fairbairn, Jason Myers, or McLaughlin? So, I get these questions and I struggle with them because I think they're the diciest, the least predictable, right? The hardest to play. I think when I hear defensive questions, because we don't really have time or this is the platform to go into scoring specifics, etc. I have a tendency to pick on quarterbacks. In this case, the Jags kind of look appealing in that regard. So do the Broncos. So do the Chiefs a little bit, right? I think that Chiefs game is going to be a shootout, so a point scored matter. I think I'm going to go the middle lane here and go Broncos. I appreciate the yard guys. They're very helpful. They've been waiting for this moment. Their moment to shine. The Jags, probably not that interested. I'm normally interested in picking on Bryce Young. He's getting a little better, right? I mean, it's happening. Their pass protection still isn't great, but they've been running more effectively, and that's been helping him out. So I'm going to take the middle lane on this and go Broncos. Hope Easton Stick screws up. He's going to be without some of his top receivers, two of his top receivers. Keenan Allen and Josh Palmer both ruled out for this game. So, I don't know that, does that really matter for Easton Stick? He's been working with not the starters most of the time, but I think that's the direction I'm going to go here and hope that Broncos secondary can get something done. For the kickers, I tend to go with who I think is going to score the most points, right? So I do think there's a good chance that Fairbairn's going to be busy, at least kicking extra points. I'm hopeful. Maybe I'm just projecting my hopefulness. I think Myers against Pittsburgh is perfectly fine. I'm probably not. Is it on McLaughlin? Let me see what I'm thinking here. See if the algorithms agree with he's kind of middle pack to me for Tampa Bay. I mean, do I think this is going to be a high scoring game against New Orleans? I think half of that is. I think the Saints may have a good game. I'm really high on Derek Carr this week. I'm going to go ahead and go with my starting point. I'm thinking, well, you know what? The algorithm disagrees with me. I'm going to stick with that and go with Myers and hope that's a high scoring affair. It's really tough. And I know that, you guys are asking because it matters, right? I mean, that's, I get it that it matters. It's just they're the hardest questions to answer for me. These ones are easier, I think. Let's see what we have here. We need 3 5 running backs. Let's see if that's frozen up here. Let me see if I can free myself. Give me 1 second here. I appreciate you. That's odd. All right. Seems like it's getting better. Anyway, all right. 3 of these 5 running backs: Aaron Jones, Kyren Williams, Ty Chandler, Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know if this is getting better or not. How is that picture? It's like, are you guys? Am I freezing up for you? Because on one machine I'm not, on the other machine I am. That's irritating if it's true. If true, maybe it's getting a little better. All right. Anyway, so Jones, Kyren Williams, Ty Chandler, Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm probably throwing out Austin Eckler, right? I think it's a reasonable enough matchup for him. But I just don't have faith in him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's a late afternoon kickoff, and it's going to be dependent on Isiah Pacheco. If I hear something today that leads me to believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets full workload, but remember, he's questionable as well due to illness. I think he'll play too. There's a lot of diciness there, right? I mean, so for sure, Kyren Williams. Don't know how you get away from not starting him. He's been phenomenal all season. Top 5 running back, top 2 running back, I would say, in terms of workload, reliable workload next to Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go Aaron Jones here. It's between Jones and probably Chandler for me. I do think Chandler's in a pretty good spot. Last week, he got a whopping 80% of the carries. I know it was just 8 carries. They didn't run much. And that's it. So it's a concern is this, I think they'll lean on him to try to keep this offense on schedule with Jared Hall taking over at quarterback. So I get that, but I'm going Aaron Jones here. And by the way, the Packers, so that's what the decision is going to be for me between Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler. Packers defense is horrible, right? Vikings a little better, but I do trust Aaron Jones a little bit more. So Kyren Williams for sure. And then your choice of Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, I like them in that order. I think our algorithm likes Ty Chandler a little better than that. And let me just double check and see what those numbers look like. It's so close, right? It's super close. I think that's the decision point. And for me, my gut instinct says go Aaron Jones. They've been ramping up the workload. But if you're worried that maybe AJ Dillon's more of a limiting factor to Jones than Madison is to Ty Chandler, that's a reasonable decision. That was convoluted. I hope my picture's better. Let me see if there's any comments down here that I'm like frozen up or anything. Not freezing. Okay, good. Better. Better is what I wanted to hear. Not freezing. I think it was just like a momentary glitch. I've had some trouble with the radio too. It might be my interwebs are battling me. All right, let's see what we got here. Golf Boy has a question. Non-PPR 10 TDs. Where's the rest of the question, Golf Boy? Oh, here it is. That was the rest of the question. Oh, no, that's not it. I don't see the rest of the question, Golf Boy, so I'm sorry. That makes it difficult for me. One more for Jim Glukert. Rams defense or Eagles defense? I'm probably going to pick on the Giants here more than the Cardinals. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to make a lot of mistakes because they don't have a lot of receivers. They're throwing the ball to one person. It's Trey McBride, right? Like it's Greg Dortch and Trey McBride and Greg Dortch. I'll do them in order, right? And there's going to be no Marquise Brown. He has been placed on IR. So you won't have to worry about that. It's such a great matchup, too. You'd love to be able to cash in on it. And so I don't know if the Cardinals are going to be in position to make a ton of mistakes. I'm going to go with Rams here over the Eagles. Let me see how crazy the algorithm is going to think that's crazy because the algorithm loves the Eagles as a general rule of thumb. Doesn't think it's that crazy. Has them in the same tier. So I guess that's the dividing point for me, Jim. If you feel like the Eagles are going to get opportunities to make plays, then play them. They're the better defense. I think the Cardinals will have more, or the Rams will have more opportunity against the Giants to make plays. That's kind of where I'm at on. So that's why I made the decision I made. Enough said. 2, James Cook, Swift, Pittman, Nico Collins got to sit 1. That's irritating. I don't want to sit any of them. So I think if I have to sit 1, I'm going to just kind of use the easy logic here and go Pittman. Right? Like, I think he's perfectly healthy. He's still listed as questionable, though. The Raiders' defense is playing fairly tough. There's 2 levels of concern for me. Nico Collins off the injury report this week. CJ Stroud back. Tennessee Titans defense, a favorable matchup. No way I'm sitting James Cook. I mean, I'm not a huge DeAndre Swift guy, but the volume's been increasing. He's been that close. Well, last week he got a touchdown, but like the week before, he was that close to a couple touchdowns. I'm gonna lean against Pittman. And I may regret that, but the Raiders are playing pretty tough defense. I think that's what it comes down to. All great plays, enough said. Don't think there's a wrong answer. Hi, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. Eduardo Herrera. How are you, Eduardo Herrera? Good to see you. Looking for a wide receiver and flex from DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, Ken Walker, and Najee Harris, assuming all are playing. I think so. You have to be mindful of the kickoff times if you want to assume they're all playing because they are questionable. DJ Moore, probably an easy pick for me at the wide receiver spot. And then, so the Jamar Chase, Ken Walker is going to come down to it's the late afternoon window. Najee Harris is there too, so you have like triple fallback protection. So DJ Moore is not on the injury report this week. If you saw last week's game, it looked like he would be on the injury report this week. He seemed like a decoy. There is no Darnell Mooney. Cole Kmet is questionable, may not play. Seems like a clear path to workload for Mr. DJ Moore going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Not the most favorable matchup in the world, but still, he's been money with Justin Fields for the most part, except for last week when it looked like his ankle was hurt. Jamar Chase has the injury. I think he's going to play. He was talking a lot of smack. So I guess you could do this. If you wanted to play Jamar Chase over DJ Moore, it's perfectly understandable. So you could play, you could wait it out on him. And Ken Walker's questionable as well. So that's your issue. You have 2 questionable guys. Najee Harris could be your fallback for either of them if you wanted to play them. I still kind of want to play DJ Moore. So I might play him and just wait and see how it looks with the late afternoon questionables. And if both those guys are shut out or don't go, I would have Najee Harris standing by. And I would probably go – I think I'd go Walker Chase, but Chase had a huge game against the Chiefs last year. So, and he's talking a lot of smack, needs to cash that check. So I'd probably play it safe and play Moore and then figure it out between Jamar Chase and play DJ Moore and then figure it out between Jamar Chase and Ken Walker as the late afternoon window. I see everybody's active. Then I can make that decision. As I said, maybe how you look in your own game will help determine that, Eduardo, too. You could say, look, I just need to avoid a 0, right? I need just a solid low, 5-10 points, then Ken Walker would probably be my play. If you needed a huge swing for the fence play, I don't think Ken Walker is not that, but Jamar Chase is more that, the huge swing for the fence play. And if they're both inactive, you have Najee Harris. Golf boy, here we go. Now I got you. 10 points per 100-yard bonus. Godwin versus New Orleans. Pittman versus the Las Vegas Raider. Noah Brown versus Tennessee. I mean, I think the guy with the best chance at the bonus, to me, given the matchups, is probably Noah Brown. But Nico Collins is back. I mean, we've seen him have big games with Nico Collins on the field. That's probably not like the lead expectation for me. And Pittman, I think, is capable of this. A little concerned that he goes into the game questionable. We saw what happened last week. I don't expect a repeat of the concussion symptoms reoccurring, but it is possible. But it's also a shoulder. And the Raiders are playing tough right now. So It would be him over Godwin though, but probably Noah Brown over them both, and that's a little hunchy on my part. I mean, if we're sitting here in a vacuum and all things being equal, Michael Pittman is the best player on this list, right? Without a doubt. And so if you want to set aside all the, we're in a big week, right? This is nobody's going to remember if you lose. They're only going to remember if you win. So, maybe you need to judge your lineup a little bit. And this is probably true for everybody. We need to look at our lineup, look at our opponent's lineup, see what the projected totals are for at the end of the game, and kind of use that as a starting point. But also, if you have late afternoon kickoffs, like the previous question, and you can kind of wait and see where you're at and see what you need, do that as well. Kind of think it through like that. Can I discuss your pick of Raiders or Bears defense? Also, can you discuss your pick of Raiders or Bears defense? Also, who gets more field goal attempts? Jake Elliott versus Arizona or Cairo Santos versus Atlanta? I think the matchup probably for me, like the Eagles don't try to kick field goals that much. They try to score touchdowns, right? So, Nick Sirianni's aggressive both on the fourth downs and in the scoring zone. So probably for me it'd be Cairo Santos, who's had some huge kicking games, right? I think Elliott's had one too, but I think Cairo Santos would be the guy for me that I'd go for. Just based on the matchup, maybe being a little tougher to get the ball in the end zone there. Raiders or Bears defense. So if I want to pick on quarterbacks, I might be a little more interested in the Bears against Atlanta, Taylor Heineke. I mean, just like, but they, for the Raiders, I mean, Gardner Minshew is prone to throwing interceptions at times, right? So that's entirely possible. I think that's always, like, Steve, my first level of attack is who's the lousier quarterback? Who's the guy I can pick on? Who puts themselves in bad positions or makes bad decisions? Who's less familiar with their receivers? I mean, things like that I'm looking for. And when I'm looking at the defense itself, who has the disruptive playmakers? I think both teams have disruptive playmakers, whether it's Max Crosby, Montez Sweat, who has come on strong. It looks like the Bears got a better end of that deal than the 49ers, at least early on, on those trades. So I'm probably going to lean towards my gut feeling is the Bears, and the algorithm tends to agree with me on this one, a rarity. So there we have it. Look at my internet. I look shiny and new, which is not true. I'm not new. Hi, Bob. I'm in a multi-conference championship bowl game. Need upside. Sit Montgomery tonight in hopes of playing CEH 4 p.m. My plan B is Edwards at 1 p.m. Sunday. My plan B. So CEH. Okay. So you have Gus Edwards in the early window, and you'll wait and see if we get news on CEH in advance. So I do think in this case, if there was no Pacheco, so maybe we'll get news today on Pacheco. If we get the news today on Pacheco that he is either cleared or not cleared, that kind of makes this decision a little easier. I'm not sure that Gus gives you the upside. I mean, Gus, you're hoping for the touchdown, right? Montgomery kind of too, but Montgomery, since his return from injury, by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back 4, since that return from injury. But David Montgomery, running back 11. He's been hitting double-digit points every week. So maybe that's not the upside you're looking for. If you're looking for the upside, I think it might be Clyde Edwards-Helaire against that Bengals defense. So I endorse your approach, but it's going to be tricky because I don't know if you're going to have all the information you need to have when you need to have it. But we can hold out hope. A lot of times we'll hear about some of these players on Saturday. Like we may hear Isiah Pacheco, is cleared. I think more likely than we hear he's not cleared, because I'm guessing that might not come until tomorrow if he's not cleared. But if he's cleared, that'll come today for sure, and that would make the answer clearer for you. Yeah. So I think I endorse this approach. Next level thinking. You're playing checkers here, chess here, when everyone else is playing checkers. That's the goal. Happy New Year, Kyler Murray, or I'm scrolling down. Oh, I see it here. I see it. I'll get to it. Hi, everybody. I love the hellos. It's one of my favorite times of the week, just in case y'all don't know. Need 2 of 3 in standard scoring. Aaron Jones, Shaheed, or Zay Flowers. Aaron Jones for sure. Zay Flowers, questionable. It would probably be him. over Shaheed. I just think based on the roles, right? Like, look, the Saints passing attack's on point. Derek Carr's on point. If you read my DFS 3-and-out column this week, you know I'm really super high on him. Has like 8 touchdowns over the last 3 games. Has 6 300-yard passing games this season. It's been a really good year for him. Well, really good recent stretch. I don't know if it's been a good year for him. I don't want to go that far. I might have been overstating the case there. But Shaheed is a little bit of a, seems like more of a swing for the fence play to me. I'd go just Jones and Flowers. And you're going to know about Flowers. He's listed as questionable. Jamison Hensley from ESPN is already predicting he's going to play. So that works out pretty well for you. And if he doesn't, then you can pivot to Shaheed. Where we go? Listen to the rookie. All right, what do we got here? Need 2, Charles Davis does, in a PPR from Diggs, Pollard, and Devontae Smith. Thanks and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Boy, Diggs been 9 games without 100 yards, right? Do you think they're not going to try and fix this? He has pretty good history against the Patriots, kind of a 50-50, for Josh Allen against the Patriots. And, his running ability, he may run them in, but you wonder if at some point they don't need to get like a course correction. Diggs has not been squeaking, right? So maybe he is not demanding the grease. Maybe that comes in the playoffs or after the playoff loss or whatever. Tony Pollard is not playing well, and I don't know that this is a great matchup for him. I'm probably going with the 2 wide receivers here. Right? Like, just on Pollard, I mean, I don't want to overstate the case, but the numbers have not been good. Currently, this is from Derek Brown at Fantasy Pros. Currently running back 22 in fantasy points per game, even though he's averaging 18 touches a game. I mean, he's been bad. The last 2 weeks, it's been 13 total points. Detroit is super tough. Their defense allowed the fewest rushing yards and points and PPR points to the position all year long. So I'm kind of out on Tony Pollard this week. Sorry, Tony. I feel you're a fine individual, yet I'm not adhering to your fantasy football goodness. George Del Prete. Hey, Bob. PPR, 3 points for running back reception. Wow. Chandler or Devontae Smith? Would you bench Diggs or James Cook for either, or Curtis Samuel or Doves? On the second one, I would not. I'm probably going Chandler over Devontae Smith here. I don't know that he's going to catch a ton of balls, but I mean, 3 points per reception. I think the workload will be there for him. And the Packers defense, horrible. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. It's been a great addition to this weekly session here, rookie. Appreciate your presence, sir. Hold on 1 second. I just lined up a guest for tonight's show. That's what I needed. I'll be on the radio tonight. Football Diehards is the radio program. You will hear us on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio from 9 until midnight tonight. Have a couple guests coming on. So, 3 guests, as a matter of fact. So we'll start out with John Law from this very website, Football Diehards, and you know him on the Twitterverse, the Gridiron Skull 91. We'll have Joe Pisapia from Fantasy Pros, and we'll have Jamie Calandro also. The live stream will be tonight for Jamie and Eric. Will be doing the DFS live stream. I know there's a game on, but like I do, I watch the game and I listen to them. It's great fun. All right. Part V, Pat V. I thought it was part 5. What? Singletary versus Tennessee or Deontay Johnson versus Seattle. Come on down, Devin. It was interesting. I thought last week we heard going in that, man, Mason Rudolph, the chemistry is with Deontay Johnson. Hello, George Pickens. I'm not expecting a repeat of the George Pickens, and nobody should be. I mean, we could be hopeful of that. I mean, I think he has that kind of game in him, but not expecting on the regular. But also, man, it's just like Deontay Johnson came to get a bit of an afterthought. Maybe he's less of an afterthought in this one. Devin Singletary, I'll remind you, I think, in case our perception of the Tennessee defense remains from early in the season when they were a run-stopping powerhouse, they are now. Jeffrey Simmons is on IR. They've had other injuries. So this is an easy run. You wonder if let me see if I can speak this into existence. CJ Stroud gets off to a fast start. He's not rusty at all. hits Nico Collins and Noah Brown for tons of points. Sorry, Dalton Schultz, I'm leaving you out of this. And then they run down the clock in the second half, and we see lots of Devin Singletary. Not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying I'm trying to speak it into existence. But Singletary's been very busy. He's basically relegated Dameon Pierce to kick return duty. Thank you for your service, Dameon Pierce, on that kick return last week touchdown. For those of us playing the Texans, the defensive special teams. White or Singletary standard. I'm going to guess this is Zamir White. Whichever White it is, Rachaad or Zamir. I'm playing them ahead of Singletary this week. I like Zamir White an awful lot. Indianapolis Colts, again, Josh Jacobs is doubtful, so like that play. He's been on a roll, right? And I don't mind Singletary at all. Just would be higher on that. All right, non-PPR, 10 points. There we go. Evan Ingram, Ferguson, Goddard. So I'm probably going Ferguson over the other two, although Goddard is pretty appealing as well. Ingram is last. Ingram's been getting great volume. He's been a great play all year. Carolina, if there's one thing they can defend, it's the tight ends. Defense special team questions. Rams versus Giants, Bears versus Atlanta, Chargers versus Denver. I think, there's an argument to be made for the Chargers picking on the incoming quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. That didn't work out well last year for teams like the 49ers and the Chiefs, who he played against late last year. He's kind of been in this spot before. He's going to be without Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy has an illness. I think he'll play, but he's questionable. Marvin Mims Jr. questionable. It's going to be the little Jordan Humphrey and Brandon Johnson show for you DFS tournament players. We'll be watching for that. So I do think the Rams versus Giants is a good opportunity. I think the Bears versus Atlanta is probably the right answer. Andrea has one of her usual impossible questions. Mostert versus Baltimore, Pacheco versus Cincinnati, you have CAH, Bijan versus Chicago, Zamir White versus Indy, Ty Chandler versus Green Bay. Okay, so Mostert obviously questionable, so we'll see on him. Pacheco obviously questionable, but you have CAH as the fallback. I'd like that, but they're both questionable, remember. So I might just avoid this altogether because you have some pretty good other options otherwise. Zamir White would be one of those. I think Ty Chandler's a great option. I think Bijan's a decent option as well. I'm probably going if you're playing it exceedingly safe, Andrea, I think the workloads for White is exceedingly safe. So he gives you a super high floor with some upside, and I play Bijan with him. I like Ty Chandler a lot too. And I know we're sitting Raheem Mostert against Baltimore. And if you can't do that and he's active, I don't blame you. I'd sit either of these guys. Probably more Bijan. I mean, it's been a little hit or miss for him, right? I mean, not his fault. I blame Arthur Smith. I really want to play Zamir White because the Raiders have been super predictable, and this is a good matchup for him. The Raiders have been focusing last week almost exclusively on the run, and Zamir White's been getting the job done. And again, the Indianapolis matchup is great. So if I had to rank them in a vacuum, I think the order you have them in would probably be the order I would go, especially given the matchup against the Bengals for the Chiefs. But you don't have that. And I might move Zamir White ahead of Bijan just for the higher floor. Hello, Toronto Dave. How are you? Hi, Remy. Good to see you. Good morning, Zamir White, Nico Collins, or Calvin Ridley can only have one. Zamir White is the one I'm having, unless you need a super huge swing for the best play, then it's Nico Collins. That's not to say Zamir White can't get you a big total, right? But Nico Collins is maybe that guy that could have the huge off the charts game. I know Calvin Ridley is capable of that. I don't know if he's capable of that with Beathard, although Beathard did hit him late last week. But I think the easy logic, I think the order you have them is the order I like them. Thanks, Tommy, for the question. Chacaloso, 131. Good morning. Would you start Mahomes or CJ this week? I've been waiting for a Mahomes question. At some point, this is all going to get corrected by this offense, right? We're thinking. I have them both. I want to say they're 6 and 7 or 7 and 8 both. I have Mahomes slightly ahead, but Kansas City's struggling to put points on the board. That's what the algorithm has spit out based on the matchups and the historic numbers for them. I probably feel more comfortable with Stroud this game. That said, he's coming back. If you're worried about rust at all, if that's a concern, he's missed 2 games. Maybe he comes back and he's not quite on schedule or whatever. I mean, he's had 2 full practices or 3 full practices. So but I think it's that close, right? That's the hair I'm splitting. Texans just tend to score more points, right? And they score a lot of them through the air. So I'm probably going to go that way. I could see Travis Kelce having a monster game. Bengals are horrible against tight ends. I could see Rashid Rice having a really solid game. I could see one of those running backs also having a solid game. So, I'm not against Mahomes. I just feel like, we've seen the trajectory all season. I have a number. I don't know if I have it like right in front of my face. I may have it right in front of my face. uh, what was the number I was looking at? Oh, I want to say it's just not been good. It's about like, I think, what was the number I saw? Since he's allowed the most receiving yards and second most fantasy points per game to tight ends, they've also been very generous to wide receivers. I mean, honestly, you could say these pieces in the matchup is going to pull Mahomes along. I'm struggling with this one, but I'm going to say Stroud for me. At tight end, would you prefer Pitts or Schultz? Probably in that case, I'm probably going to slightly lean to Schultz. Let's see if the algorithm agrees with me, and it does. Slightly. I mean, neither of them are high end this week, but I think Schultz has been a little more involved, consistently involved. I think is my feeling. Need a tight end and flex? Do I play both tight ends? Likely McBride and Chandler. I'd want to play Chandler, and I'm going to play Chandler and McBride. I do likely. I like likely. It's hard to say. Say that 3 times fast. Likely. Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen likely have a couple floor games and a couple higher ceiling games, and I mean, I like all that. We see McBride hit a ceiling almost every time. Last week, notwithstanding. So Chandler for sure too, because I like the workload. Andrea needs 3. Chase versus Kansas City. St. Brown versus Dallas. Chris Olave versus Tampa Bay. Devontae Smith versus Arizona. I wish that Philadelphia game was later. The Chiefs are the late afternoon game. You're going to play St. Brown tonight. I'm playing Olave against Tampa Bay. So the decision to me comes down between Chase. I almost feel like you have to play Smith unless we get some word, Andrea, that Chase is like locked in or almost certainly going to play, or we get some really good intel. You just got to remember he's questionable, and if something happens pre-game or whatever, I'm not trying to put the fear into you. If you're pretty comfortable with him, I'll say the reporters on the ground watching practice thought he was trending in the right direction and think he looks pretty good. They're playing coy though, so we may not get really good information until the overnight insiders chime in. And I would trust what they say for the most part. If they say it's looking like he's going to play, I'd feel okay about this. But this is a championship game. Can you afford to take a 0 if you bail on Smith? Smith has a great matchup as well. So I might just play it safe because you have some high-end upside there in St. Brown, Olave, and Devontae Smith himself. I'm probably playing it safe myself. Rachel, how are you? Good to see you. Happy New Year. Hope the Cavs have been nice. They have been. I hope yours as well. Which one out of CEH, Thielen, Achane, Lockett, or Flowers to flex? So who's our late afternoon fallback? We don't have one. I mean, I'd like it to be CEH if I had things figured out. Yeah. So if I heard today that Isiah Pacheco was ruled out or in, that would make the CEH. But just remember, he's questionable. Maybe watch the elevations. 4 p.m. Eastern time. The Chiefs will have to elevate. I'm sure they will elevate one guy. If they elevate 2, they have Deneric Prince and I think Keontae Ingram both on the practice squad. If both those guys go up, I'd be worried about CEH either way, whether there's a Pacheco or not. So outside of that, I think Achane's off the injury report and Mostert is questionable. He would be my next choice. And maybe that would be the default choice. Maybe it would be the easy choice. That's what it is. It's the easy choice if Mostert were off on the off chance Mostert gets declared inactive for this game for some reason. That's not my anticipated outcome, but he is questionable. Been very limited in practice this week, so that would be it. And he might be my second choice either way over Thielen, Lockett, and Flowers. Although Thielen does have a pretty good matchup against the Jaguars. I don't know if it's a trustworthy matchup, but it's a good matchup. Ferguson versus Detroit or likely versus Miami in a PPR. I kind of like Ferguson in this one a little bit. I do like likely. I said it properly that time. I like Ferguson more than I like likely. Let's see. James Conner or Hubbard in a standard. Would you play either over Rashid in a flex? Yeah. Hubbard over Conner. Philadelphia. I know Kenneth Walker ran on them. That was in Seattle. They were tougher at home. It's a tough run defense, generally speaking. I mean, and Hubbard is going up against Jaguars defense that has been horrible, just generally horrible. And they've been leaning on him heavily. I think I'd probably play Hubbard here, even at standard. I do kind of like Conner in a standard, but just generally speaking, because I think I know he just destroyed the San Francisco matchup. So, it's not like he can't get the job done. I'm going Hubbard here. I don't know. In a standard league, I might play either of them over Rashid in the flex. I feel like. I mean, it's a great matchup for Rashid, but is it a matchup where he scores? I mean, you're counting on him to rack up a ton of yardage. I will say, Ben Baby, the Bengals beat writer, predicted 125 yards for Rashid Rice, given the matchup. So, Andrew needs DJ Moore of Atlanta, Zay Flowers versus Miami, CEH4 versus Cincinnati for the half-point PPR. I'm probably playing what I think is safe is DJ Moore, realizing it was not a great game last week, realizing it's a fairly tough matchup. It's a fairly tough matchup for Zay Flowers, who is questionable. CEH, again, we all know the iterations there. You got to go through a lot of permutations to get the confidence level that he's going to play without a fallback option, right? I think he's going to play. Guys with illnesses usually do play, but he didn't practice 2 days, Thursday and Friday. I'm hoping he feels much better. Isiah Pacheco could get cleared. That would totally be a limiting factor. We may not find that out until just before game time. So if I want to avoid all that drama, I'm going DJ Moore. Thank you, Horseberg. Need one floor and one upside pivot. Najee Harris, Evan Ingram, Noah Brown, Romeo Doubs, Rashid, Shaheed. I think Noah Brown is probably the upside number one pivot. And Shaheed's the upside number two pivot, and the floor is Najee. I think Romeo Doubs is okay. Jaden Reed is back, though. I think that takes a little shade off him there. Good morning, Dominic Conti. Standard scoring, sit 2. Eckler, Gibbs, H.N., and Connor, sit 2. Sit 2. Not Gibbs. Who are you asking this? Just kidding. I would sit Eckler for sure. And I'd watch, and maybe Mostert being the determining factor on H.N., and if H.N. is, I don't know that he's going to get the workload. I know Connor is. I'd probably go Connor even in a tough matchup over Eckler, even in a favorable matchup. And I know at some point Eckler is going to explode, right? I don't want to bank on it in a super tough championship weekend. All right, I'm going to do about 10 more minutes of questions, then get to a little bit of an announcement here. So I'll try and race through these and try to get to everybody. Flowers or Cooks in a non-PPR, Stafford or Mahomes. I feel totally comfortable playing Stafford. I mean, that you're asking the question tells me that might be the lean, right? I mean, guy's thrown tons of touchdowns, has a super favorable matchup. Mahomes has a super favorable matchup, but they're not putting the points on the board, right? That's been a problem. And maybe they course correct. I think, again, I talk about this all the time, but you've got, I think half the reason we play some of these players is because we fear the missing out on the big game. The Chiefs have scored fewer than 20 points 6 times this year. My buddy over at NBC Sports, a former Football Diehard staffer, Kyle Dvorak, pointed out half of all the games Patrick Mahomes has started and scored fewer than 20 points in his career have come this year. I mean, it's just, the Rams are on a roll. I'm going to probably go in that direction. I'd feel okay with it. If you don't, Mahomes perfectly fine. It's a great matchup. But I think that you're asking tells me something. Lamont Maxwell, need 1 out of 2. Montgomery, Zamir, Mostert, and Bijan. I see the next one. Thanks, Lamont. If Mostert is playing him and Zamir, if Mostert is not, well, you're not going to know that tonight. You need to know tonight. Oh, man, Bijan. Super tough. I mean, I'm really in on Zamir because I love the volume he's been getting, but I mean, he is not the best play here. I would probably pass on Montgomery tonight. I think he's perfectly fine. Again, he's been running back 11 since he returned from injury. So if you want to play him, I I wouldn't have a complaint about that. But I do like Bijan. I do like Mostert. Maybe Mostert being beat up gives you a little out here. Maybe you wait it out and see if Mostert's active, and you could just go Bijan and Mostert if Mostert plays, and Zamir if Mostert does not play. Due to injuries, Minshew versus Las Vegas or Geno Smith versus Pittsburgh. I'm going Geno Smith there. Andrea needs one. Noah Brown versus Tennessee. KJ Osborne versus Green Bay. I do like Brandon Cooks an awful lot. I think Noah Brown, it's between Cooks and Brown. Cooks has not been getting a ton of volume, right? I mean, he's been getting it done, but without a lot of volume. He's opening things up. CeeDee Lamb's been the target magnet there. I'm probably going to slight lean Brown over Cooks. With Ayuk and Nico starting, which one non-PPR brings home the bacon, Metcalf or Pittman versus Las Vegas? If Pittman's playing, I'm playing him. I don't have a great feeling about Metcalf. Hasn't practiced for 2 days now. It's a back issue. Seems like a concern to me. So I'd probably just, avoid that. And maybe we'll get some information overnight, rookie. So watch for that. I'll have it on the website if so. Morning Royal Slade and go from there. But that's kind of where I'm at for now. Rams or Raiders defense? I feel like the Rams are in a really good spot, right? They're probably going to get up, probably force Tyrod Taylor to throw and have a lot of opportunities to make play. The Raiders have been on fire, though. So, don't know if they're in as fortuitous a circumstance or have as favorable a matchup. So I probably lean the Rams here. With Kenneth Walker, 3 considered game time decision. Do you risk playing him or pivoting to Charbonnet? So if you have both and Kenneth Walker's playing, I'm probably going to play Kenneth Walker. That's probably going to be my default. He was questionable last week. Worked out okay. Don't know that last week is every week, but that's kind of where I'm at on him. I think the Seahawks are a little aggressive, so that's why I have some hope still for Metcalf. But no practice for 2 days. Where Walker was the other way. He got back on the field. Missed first 2 days. Back on the field yesterday. It was limited. But I mean, you're in a good spot. So, I would almost hope Walker gets ruled out so I could just feel like I could go Charbonnet without worrying. It's kind of like the Jacobs Zamir White. I'm glad Jacobs is not going to be there. So I'm comfortable. You're never comfortable playing the hurt guy over the backup, or playing the backup over the hurt guy. You just don't know, right? Because, will he aggravate in game? Maybe. Didn't last week. So, and maybe the illness has been what's kept him more out of practice than the shoulder. Maybe the shoulder is almost a non-issue now. So we don't have that clarity. I'm going Walker over Charbonnet just in general. I'm playing Laporta over Ferguson, even in a tough matchup. I just can't avoid the upside of Laporta. I mean, there's 3 touchdown upside there, it seems like. I don't know if this is the game he gets there. Ferguson is probably, might be the safer play. I'd have a hard time benching Laporta. Wendy Early. Hey, Bessie, how you doing? Welcome to the Apple Revolution. Wendy Early has an iPhone now. Watch out, people. She's on fire. Fields or Stafford at quarter. Stafford. Having Nakua at wide receiver, need upside. I'd probably play Fields here. You're already getting a piece of Stafford with Nakua. Like both quarterbacks. Fields has that rushing upside that I like a little bit, so I'd probably do that. Brandon Cooks, Jaden Reed, or Zamir White going against Jordan Love. I'm probably playing Zamir White of that group. I do like Jaden Reed a lot. Did I say Jordan Reed? The old tight end. Jaden Reed. I do like him, and I like Brandon Cooks too. But Zamir White, I can't beat that volume with Josh Jacobs. And watch that. I mean, doubtful guys almost never play. Notice I said almost never play because a couple of them have this year. Seems odd. Going Puka Jim over DJ Moore. Hi, Shadi. Thanks. Weird league. Only 1 point per first down, rushing, receiving. Otherwise, everything's standard. Zamir White and Adams versus Indianapolis, Mixon versus KC. I'm probably playing the running backs here. White, Mixon, Javonte. The Raiders don't always throw the ball a lot. I do think Adams is a fine play. I mean, that's who they're going to be throwing to, and big plays are in him, but it's hard for me to play that. Hey, Peter, thanks for coming. Start sit of the weekend. Full point PPR. I need 3 or 4. Montgomery, CEH, Bijan, Walker, 3, Zamir White. I probably just avoid Walker. Well, CEH 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd probably play it safe and go Montgomery, Bijan, and Zamir White. Hi, Tracy. Half point PPR to Marcus Robinson. Oh, you hit me in my Robinson spot. Robinson has been consistently productive the last 4 games as the third receiver in that offense. He has a touchdown every game. Do you count on that to continue? I maybe count on that more than I count on George Pickens having another huge outing, right? But could Pickens have a serviceable outing and like kind of come back down to earth and still be good? Yes. He's higher up in the pecking order. I have more faith in the quarterback of the Rams than I do the quarterback of the Steelers. Will he have another huge game? I don't know that he will. I think Pickens is a smarter play, playing the guy higher up in the pecking order. I'd probably go ahead and the Dolphins have been money, right? On defense, I'd probably play the Saints in this one. Over the other pieces too. You have just double checking this to see if I'm insane. Maybe I am. So subjective defenses, man. They're the hardest questions, honestly. I feel like I fail at every answer. The Dolphins' defense has been phenomenal, but I don't trust. San Francisco defense has been phenomenal, like what Baltimore did. Um, Not the Packers, probably not the Chargers. I might just play the Dolphins D, but I think I don't. Maybe so. That means probably the Falcons are the right answer, Tracy. um, it's one of the two you have. I think in this one, I'd probably play the Saints. It's a little hunchy of me. It's just that NFC South, they always play each other super tough. I don't know. Bob need one flex. Barkley, Achan, Zamir, also wide receiver Puka Rice. I'm playing Puka over Rice, and I'd hate to have to make that decision. One flex, I'm probably playing Barkley over the other two. If Chase shits, there what I did it. If Chase sits, should I start in full point PPR, Godwin, London, or Shaheed, or should I hold and pick up Pickens or Judy as a fill-in? I don't know that either of those guys are super trustworthy to me, or either of those pickups are. I don't know that the guys you have are. I think Godwin has become a little bit trustworthy. I I don't know if the kickoffs work out for you though on any of these, right? They're all early kickoffs. So you would need to pick up, yeah, you probably need, oh, you said it. Yeah, you probably need, I think I'd probably go Pickens. I don't trust Jerry Judy. I don't trust Pickens either, but that's what I do. I think Chase is trending towards playing. So I would pick up the one of those you prefer. Maybe Judy has the better matchup and go that way. Thanks. Appreciate you. Also, Zeke or Zamir. I think that's pretty close, Vito. I mean, Buffalo's not playing great defense. Indianapolis not playing great defense. Slightly into Zamir. Waller or Kincaid, I'm going Waller in this one. And not picking up Kraft. I think Kraft is fine, but Jaden Reed is back. If they had been down more receivers, it would have been Kraft for sure. Do I like Devontae over Nova Brown? I do. Okay, I'm going to get a few more in here, and then I'm going to have to put a cap on it because I got some stuff to say. I'm not going to get through all these questions, so I apologize. I'm not even close. Not even close. It's really, really disappointing that I can't get to all these questions. Makes me want to swear really loud because I really need to get to some of the stuff I have to get to here. It's just going to be impossible to do this. Well, so yeah, I'm just gonna have to bail on these questions, people, because the next thing is going to be coming, and I have to do that, and I have obligations to meet. So, and I have this obligation to meet right now. I have to make an announcement to you all, something that has been brewing behind the scenes here. It's been a tough season for football diehards. Emil Kadlik, our publisher and the president of Fantasy Sports Publication, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer as the season began. He's been undergoing chemotherapy throughout the season and plays an integral role generally in delivering the day-to-day content and operation of the site, and hasn't been able to do that much. And that he's gotten, we've gotten where we are has been remarkable on his part just to get there, right? It's also been taxing, so he's going to have to stop. He's going to have to basically retire and call it a season. So he'll be taking at least 2024 off to take care of his health and his family. And so the football diehards will be suspending operation, the website, right? So So this is the last weekend of Football Diehards, the website. Magazines will probably be, he's looking to sell those, so we'll see what happens with those. I'll be moving on. The radio show will continue on Sirius XM, and like the Football Diehards has kind of become a brand unto itself there, and so it'll continue on as that. I'll continue on. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to keep using this platform to address you guys, right? Because this has been great. But the Football Diehards radio program will continue. So it'll be me and Mike Dempsey doing the usual things, same times, same spots. I'll have a new place, and I'll be making an announcement on that on Tuesday. Emil came to me earlier this year at some point during the season and just, kind of laid out where things were going and said, go find a job because he's worried about me, right? So with that, I need to thank some people, all of you. I mean, are been amazing. But also, people on the staff, right? Like I want to start with Eric Romoff, has just been valuable with his assistance on these live streams. And just super extra work, super sharp guy. It's been fantastic, and he and I'll be doing some things on here as well as Jamie. With the live stream tonight. Evan Tarciano did a lot of behind the scenes stuff, picked up the for Emil and kind of helped, with some of the behind the scenes stuff that has to get done every day that just Emil couldn't keep up with. Beyond that, the Gridiron Scholar, of course, John Laub, he'll be on the program with me tonight. Jamie, Gary Davenport, Brad Cruz, Justin Lanero, Joe Kalana Jr., Casey Joyner, compose myself. Justin Lanero, Drew Phelps, Tara Roberts, Stacy Perez, many others. So I'll be revisiting all this on the platform in coming days, and I'll have the announcement on my future on Tuesday. I think this would be a tad hard. All right. All right, so that's where we stand, and I want to thank all of you, of course, and maybe I should answer some more questions since I still have a few more minutes. Been doing something for 30 years, you kind of move on. It's a little difficult. All right. By the way, there'll be something on the website if you want to, reach out and get a hold of Emil, let him know you care, support him in his future. That'll be on the website. This announcement will be on the website as well. And appreciate you all. Think I will probably stop now before I look sillier than I do. So anyway, I'll be back here Wednesday. How about that? And I apologize for not getting to all your questions. This was way harder than I thought. So let's just call it a day and listen to me on the radio tonight. I'll be back here. I will be back here on Wednesday. So, and I'll have more to say about some of this, maybe in a more composed manner. And just know I appreciate you all. And thanks for coming.